Hello, how is everyone doing? It is your fallen angel back with another video. Today, we are covering An Upside Down World, the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path by the Great Buddha. Before we get started, feel free to check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. Also like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's begin. Find out how the sad, upside down world of four unhappy wanderers got right upside down again. So guys, if you want to look at this image, you can look at it upside down. Right now, from this angle, it looks like it's a frowning face, which it is. And if you look at it from upside down, it will be a happy face. So, of all the dhammas you see in the world, they all come from the mind. Following what you understand, you grasp at its appearances. This is upside down and not the real thing. Avatamskaka Sutra. This is the story of four unhappy people who became very happy. This is how it came to be. The Buddha and his disciples were walking along a road one day when they came across four unhappy wanderers. The Buddha asked them why they were unhappy. The first one said she was unhappy because she was so beautiful as a young woman and now had grown so old and ugly. Why does that have to be? She asked the Buddha. The second one said he was unhappy because he didn't know why as young and strong as he was, he had fallen sick. The third one was unhappy because her son had just died. Why do we have to die? She asked. The fourth was unhappy because he didn't fit into the world. He was square and the world was round. The Buddha looked at them serenely and said, "Don't be sad. Understand that sickness, old age, disease, and death are all part of a natural process. They are all inherent in birth." So guys, this process of life, death, and rebirth, this is all a natural process in this lifetime. We will see all of it in this lifetime through this Fibonacci lens. He then looked at the old woman and asked her if she liked to eat ripe fruit. The old woman said that she did. Why? Then the Buddha asked. Don't you accept old age? Those who don't wish to get old should only eat fruit, flowers, and not the fruit that ripen and get old. As for the young man and the grieving woman, he asked them to go and find a mustard seed from a household where nobody had ever gotten sick or died. When they returned empty-handed, the Buddha said, "See, now how sickness and death come to all beings. Do not think that you are the only ones they come to. All who are born get sick and die at some point." To the fourth, the Buddha said, "You do not fit because you are not one with the world. You have sharp corners and the world has none. You have got to learn how to roll." "But I can't roll," replied the square. "I've got sharp corners, remember?" "You can give it a try," said the Buddha, "but you've got to be willing to give up your corners first." Sickness, old age, disease, and death, without right understanding, bring only suffering, exhorted the Buddha. He then taught them the four noble truths and sent them on their way. The first three wanderers, inspired by the Buddha's words, went into a cave to meditate, but it wasn't easy. Determined as they were, however, they finally gained insight and understanding into the truth of suffering, impermanence, and non-self. They had at last found happiness and peace. As for the square, he followed the Buddha's advice and started to roll. It was difficult at first because sometimes the road was very rocky. Sometimes the rolling was all uphill. Sometimes it was just rolling back and forth. But the square stuck to it, and little by little he started to feel different. The road was beginning to feel less bumpy, and it was getting easier to roll, until finally he was transformed into a circle. He was now as round as the world, and became one with it. At last he fit. What is the lesson we must learn from the square? You have to let yourself go. Now, this is not to say be a loose cannon, but this is to let yourself go, let the ego go, and understand you are one with this universe, and you are connected with everything around you. And letting go will allow you to not only experience life, but experience it how it was intended, ego-free. And this is how 4 unhappy people became very happy. Look upside down to see the smiles as well. Do good, don't do evil, purify the mind. This is the teachings of all the Buddhas. The 4 noble truths. All beings suffer. All suffering is caused by desire. Getting rid of desire gets rid of suffering. 4. The Eightfold Path is the method which leads to the end of suffering. So guys, we have to recognize desire is the root of all suffering. The Buddha understood this, right? Your desires lead to sorrow. The removal of these desires leads to inner tranquility. The Eightfold Path. Number 1, right view. Right view is the understanding that life is suffering, that the cause of suffering is desire, that there is an end to suffering and there is a path that leads to the end of suffering. In other words, right view is to understand the 4 noble truths we just mentioned. Right thought. Right thought is the elimination of bad thoughts from our mind and to keep it full of good thoughts. Right speech. Right speech is lovely and truthful speech, free of harsh, angry, or foolish words. Right action. Right action is to refrain from harming any living beings, from stealing, from any irresponsible sexual conduct, from drinking any alcohol, or using intoxicating drugs. 5. Right livelihood. Right livelihood is not to do work that brings harm to others, such as selling liquors, poisons, or guns. Right effort. Right effort is to encourage and sustain wholesome thoughts and to discourage and overcome unwholesome thoughts. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is to be constantly aware of all activities of the bodies, of the feelings, ideas, of all activities of the mind. Right concentration. Right concentration is the practice of meditation. The Buddhist teachings can bring peace and joy to you if you give it a try. Why don't you give it a try? So guys, if you ever feel down or you feel like things are in a rut, you feel like you're in a very, very nihilistic point, you feel really sad, you feel upset, you feel at that end point, you should always revisit this video, because this is a video that I would revisit too. This is a video I would share to others, my families, my friends, because this is how we understand suffering. This is how we understand what the Buddha meant by suffering. This is how we can get rid of our earthly desires. This is how we can remove suffering, by removing desire. Desire is the root of evil. Now, removing this desire and following this Eightfold Path can teach us exactly what the Buddha meant. Right? The Buddha has been reincarnated many times. The Buddha failed many times as well. The Creator is not a harsh creator. He put you here to experience and understand and learn. Everything in this life and cosmos is correction. We explained this in our previous Kabbalah video. This lifetime is about correction. No one here is perfect, okay? Understand that you're here to correct and learn. But as we see, with the 4 people that were unhappy with themselves, they understood life was suffering. Life was their desires, but we have to realize we all as beings go through these sufferings. It is not single-handed. Some may think they have it worse than others, but that's because they don't see the true light in the whole universe, that we are all one. So whenever you feel down, you feel really in your sorrows, revisit this video. Look through all these 4 individuals that were unhappy, whether the woman that was aging, the man that was sick, the mother that lost her son, the square that couldn't fit in. All of them were understanding the natural process of life, this cycle of life, birth, death, and rebirth, right? We understand that death is suffering because of our attachments. We understand that the square couldn't let go of his corners, so he was stuck. But once he let go, this is also letting go of the ego. He was able to become whole. He was able to become the circle. So guys, this was the upside down world, along with the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path explained. Feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to see them. Also, like and subscribe. Check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This was your fallen angel, guys, and I am out.